So therefore, we should take a closer look for the remaining, say, I guess we will be done in 10 minutes or so, on communication. So what does connected vehicles actually, what is that all about? They communicate with one another and with a centralized infrastructure. And here, finally, we get checks on all 4 of these fields. So I truly believe that if vehicles could talk to one another, exchange their location, their speed, their trajectory, and so on, we could avoid many accidents. So check on safety. Check on emissions and on resources, because we could really make the drive much more efficient, that we just route the vehicles more efficiently, more effectively, that we hopefully, I'm speaking broadly about communication, that we could really get more people in the vehicle. Because get this, the average is 1.4 people in every vehicle. 1.4 is not possible, I know this, but there are many vehicles where it's just 1 person in a vehicle. And therefore, if we really use the connection with social media, where it's not just like being friends with whoever on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, where it's actually, I want to drive with this person because that person is actually working in the same field that I'm working in, might have great ideas. Why don't we just commute together as opposed to everyone just sitting by ourselves in the car? So therefore, we can probably save quite some emissions and resources again. And also then the congestion field, if we just organize our personal mobility much smarter through communication, we can probably do many things. So the applications for connected vehicles are pretty broad. I want to start off with safety and efficiency. That's basically what I've mostly talked about so far. That's about the automation, driver assistance, electrification, efficient powertrain. But we definitely want to talk about entertainment and communication as well. I want to say this right out at the beginning of this topic. You need the communication and entertainment piece to make the business case for safety and efficiency. It's just that people don't want to pay for the safety aspect of communication, which sounds weird. And I've really thought about it, what I'm saying here, but basically then everyone who works a lot on these DSRC programs, maybe some of you have heard about with the Department of Transportation, repeatedly they tell me, no, people don't want to pay for it. And that is somewhat similar to healthcare, where it's really like, who really wants to pay if someone else gets sick? I basically grew up like this with the European system, but I have to understand that some people think differently. If you really get sick and need treatment, then of course you pay for it. But really upfront that everyone else is a little bit better off is a different proposition. And that is the same here with safety. To really communicate and broadcast your position so that the group in general is better off, I might as well get an airbag and maybe better brakes or something like this, that I'm better off. So therefore, we really need to say, it's not such an easy sell that you just say, hey, you connect your car and everyone's better off. So it unfortunately is not that easy. So therefore, we do need entertainment and communication to turn everything into a positive business case. And then we can do more things, safety and information, so that's efficient or more interesting routing, and maintenance and repairs, which is basically send the information from the vehicle to a centralized dealer organization, where Tesla actually is doing a lot of things. So Tesla really deserves a lot of credit for this field up here. So this is where they're really leading the industry in terms of the connected vehicle for software, over-the-air updates, and so on. But again, it's largely media and communication that is driving the whole field here. And with this, very often I hear, well, how does it happen that my phone is so smart, but my car is so dumb and lame? And that I really want to contend. I'm not sure if that's true, because if you look at a modern automobile, I chose a Mercedes. I could have chosen other modern vehicles, just that the aspect ratio of this vehicle works out. And it's also a pretty good car, actually. But if you look at this number here, up to 80 controllers, so 80 little computers are in a modern vehicle today that control everything: powertrain, safety system, chassis system, driver assistance systems, entertainment, information, body systems, heating, ventilation, and so on. That is all computer controlled. There's a lot of data actually floating around in the car. So you're using up to 20 communication networks in the vehicle of different performances. CAN bus, now also FlexRay more and more, most bus, and LIN bus that really controls all these different systems. And then you can say that today it is estimated up to 40% of the vehicle cost of vehicle innovation is actually made out of electronics and computerized systems. Now, what can we do with all of this? And there are two ways what we can do with. Let's assume all this data that is in the vehicle, that we can connect this. Let's just say they have a cellular connection, 4G LTE, basically mainstream now. And those vehicles talk to one another, maybe for entertainment purposes, maybe for some communication, maybe for some social network, or maybe talking to a centralized operator or something like this. This is maybe all going on. But then all of a sudden, there's an airbag deployment. And you warn all other vehicles on the same route, hey, watch out, there's an accident. That probably can be done even with the cellular network that we have today. Or if there's a stability control incident here, where you can then warn all other vehicles that it might be slippery on the road. Or maybe if there are a lot of slow-moving vehicles here, that you then ask all other vehicles to seek an alternative route. So that is one way of doing it, using the wireless internet as we know it already today. The other way, and this is what the Department of Transportation is working on, is actually this. It's using a very specific Wi-Fi network. It's called DSRC, Dedicated Short Range Communication. It's an 802.11p standard, so same as Wi-Fi basically, but just a very specific spectrum in the 5.9 gigahertz frequency range. And that you could really broadcast messages from one vehicle to another and to all vehicles around you. And in the end, you really probably want to use both because they are very complementary, that you can say, yes, one is actually already existing. So we have the cellular network that we use every day on our smartphones. We can probably use this because it's existing, readily available, and actually leverage quite some cost. This is also the media, the infotainment part of it. But it's actually not very secure necessarily, and it's not that reliable that you can use this to basically improve safety of vehicles. So this is why you want to use this proprietary, this dedicated short-range communication network, where you still need to implement this. Cost is really the big challenge here, but still bringing both together, as one of my research colleagues basically says, if we start with cellular and connect vehicles already for some of the applications, then once we have maybe a dedicated Wi-Fi network, we can actually have already connected vehicles getting even better with the communication purposes. So we shall see. This is existing. This is where you have quite some startup companies actually using this already today. The larger telecommunication firms are looking into what you can do with this. The focus, again, still is very often on communication and entertainment purposes. This is something where now NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has been working on this for 15 years, so roughly since 1999. And now is making a decision how and when it's going to be rolled out. Probably, the experts expect, might be mandated for all new vehicles before the end of this decade. So that before the end of this decade, that new vehicles will be Wi-Fi enabled to talk to other vehicles. You might still have or might already have a Wi-Fi hotspot in the vehicle earlier. That's not what I'm talking about, really vehicle-to-vehicle communication. That this will then really take off in the next decade because it takes about 10 years is a good time so that you get a good fleet penetration with something, and 20 years even better if you want to get like a high penetration of the vehicle fleet. In summary, there's a lot, all this media to the car, and then the other piece for vehicle communication for safety purposes. We need to talk a lot about the public network that we have for entertainment purposes, media streaming, but also some traffic information and services. So we can do this already today, but we need to cobble it together with the other piece to really turn it into a profitable business case for all the safety functionalities that we probably want to do with a proprietary network. Coming to a close with the last topic, integration, or what I said earlier, that's all car sharing, changing demographics, integrating the vehicle into a broader transportation or intermodal mobility system. I'm not quite sure how much it helps with crashes. Certainly, if we are all on the bus, I assume there will be much fewer accidents. And definitely, I would think that it helps with consumption, with emissions, and with congestion. But really, what can we do? And this is where I really find it very exciting, especially in this area here, that we do have really many options already available. If we look at this here on the horizontal, it's vehicle ownership. Who owns the vehicle that I'm in right now? Is it the driver who owns the vehicle, another individual, or an organization? And then what's the social interaction that I'm experiencing here? Is it just me as an individual? Is this maybe a peer-to-peer experience or in the general public? And if this is our private car, I own my car, I drive my car to work, and this is mass transit, then you can obviously see here there's a lot of different options in here. If we drive ourselves or someone else drives, I would put Uber and Lyft maybe here. Taxi and limousine is very close, but it's typically owned by an organization. The shared ride van, so if I take a super shuttle to the airport, all this is on here. We really need to see how we can use all of these systems together, and that we basically have in the end a situation that I want to summarize, and then I am almost done. For this field, one is really the A to B trend, where I think there is a trend quite in there that the automobile is becoming part of a larger mobility network, that the automobile is just one of the options that we have, and that we have other opportunities, other options at our disposal through the smartphone application maybe. But I personally don't think that the personal attachment with the automobile is going completely away. It is shifting, that is changing, but I don't think that we will see a situation even in 10, 20, maybe 30 years from now where people don't care about cars at all. I think it's still emotional attachment. It's still something. It's my car, and it enables me to go places on a moment's notice with whoever I want, no questions asked, just have a good time. And we shall see how that pans out. But I don't think that this is going completely away. So the love for the car might be around for quite some time, because after all, it is about self-identification and realizing our dreams. So the last slide, what I personally think where it might go, this is my own personal vision, bringing everything together. It's probably going to be an electric car, hopefully somewhat wirelessly powered, what we saw with this nice wireless power transfer from the highway. Then it's automated, but I think really with infrastructure, I do think that we need communication for automation at the same time. It's connected via different channels for different applications, a totally connected car. And it might be public and an on-demand service that I just say, you know what, now I want a car, now I can have a car, and hopefully have a good time. With this, thanks for your attention. Happy to take your questions.